what do we make of that kind of statement? It's not as bad as we thought. Does that mean, it definitely doesn't mean it's good, does it?
No, it's a very subjective.
Does it say excellent?
It is a very subjective, situation.
That's my worry, and that's why I'm asking, what do you hope to see in terms of, should we still be expecting an assessment of, the governor's state of health in terms of his mental state of health? Can he, it's something for someone to recover, but it's also something for someone to recover fully and be back to where they were, at least.
Well, I expect a president that is fully recovered. I expect a president that is
a president or a governor.
Yeah, sorry, a governor. Sorry, thank you. I expect a governor that is fully recovered, a governor that is fully aware of his duties and responsibilities.
So the question I'm asking is, what would the test of that be for you?
Well, his ability to take over governance, his ability to do the things that he was doing before. And how do we assess that? We must see him publicly. Do not forget that when it was speculated that Fidel Castro had died, I mean, we've seen that happen several times, when you have this speculation about you've not seen a president for a very long time in public, especially in the Soviet era and the rest. What it does over time, same thing we had in North Korea, is that once in a while they make an unscheduled, unheralded, appearance to the public to tell them that all is well. This is what we expect, because they understand the dynamics that are playing out. Because, you see, if these speculations grow, it causes instability in some quarters where they might not want stability.
But, all of this you talked about in terms of the politicking, the negotiation, the horse trading, they're not done in vacuum or in isolation. There's a basis upon which guidelines, with which they can all be done. The law is there. As a matter of fact, you also have the Freedom of Information Act. So you can latch on that if you request any information whatsoever about the capability of the governor to perform his function. So should we really be bothered about the politicking that seems to be going on?
We were somehow involved, being Nigerians who are committed, and not just committed to what we say, but not also practicalizing what we verbalize, from time to time. We were also involved. In fact, we set the template that led to the eventual to Jonathan eventually becoming president, because we had said that we were the first. If you go on the net and so on, and you ask, put in what you just do is go on the net and say, and just input Nigerians ask Yar'Adua, for instance, to resign. You will see our names there. We were among the first set of people when the crisis in this country had gotten to a very dangerous level. We called on the president.
Crisis in this case?
We called on the president. There's a crisis in the state.
What is the crisis?
There's a crisis in the state.
Any constitutional crisis?
Of course, there's a constitutional crisis, because the issue of the constitution is that people are interpreting it and misinterpreting it. Talk to different lawyers, for instance. They will tell you that yes, that this man should have gone a long time ago based on constitutional provision.
You think
Section 189 of the Nigerian Constitution.
There's a problem with communication here, perhaps?
How do you mean?
Because you talked about Fidel Castro as an example, and perhaps let's also put in Hugo Chavez and all of those, how they were all giving the people of their own country or their constituents bit by bit information.
Good.
So are you saying this is lacking, for instance, in the case of Taraba State?
Yeah, it is lacking. Just as it lacked in the presidency issue in Nigeria, it is lacking. It is lacking, and it is not just that it is lacking, it is a conscious effort not to make that happen. And the only speculation you can glean from that is the fact that this the governor is in such a state that he cannot make that kind of public appearance. That is the only way, because...
But he's made public appearances. I mean, we saw the governor of Benue State went to visit him in New York, and it was one of the very few films. I mean, usually what you see is still picture of, him possibly shaking hands or carrying babies. But what we saw this time around was him standing up in the film, so to speak, in the video.
I'm glad you used that.
Shaking hands and seeming to speak, and he looked like he was pretty okay. He looked okay.
We also had the voice, in the Yar'Adua Inner saga, and a lot of people had their views with regards to the the quality of that voice.
Some people will say,
also,
thank God we had the voice, because
thing,
that was what was eventually used. I mean, that telephone conversation was what was eventually used by the National Assembly to enable the doctrine of necessity come to life. I mean, if we did not have the voice, we possibly will be in trouble, regardless of what you say of the voice.
It wasn't a matter of the voice. People were also going there. The former president also went there, and some other people told us they had gone to Saudi Arabia.
What are you insinuating? Are you saying that is not the real governor? What exactly does that mean?
It's the age of technology. People would also tell you that. I think the governor needs to be seen live. If the president can move around, at least if the governor can move around, let them tell us why he's not able to come. I mean, this was how many months ago that Hope Uzodimma went to see him. You understand? Up till now, he has not come back. He found him in hell and heaven in very good state. Now, why have the doctors not allowed him to come back? If they have not allowed him to come back, I think that they owe it a duty to the people of Taraba State and Nigerians in general to ensure that a better footage of the governor. You know, it's not because...
A footage? You want to see another footage
of course,
that you
much
can
better.
contest?
It's not this...
A better footage.
Yes, these things that you
Not
see.
that this footage is not admissible.
But it would also suggest that the governor is not even fit to address the people.
The late President Yar'Adua's episode and this one. And you have those who will tell you, look, two cases in point here, legally speaking, as a matter of fact. You cited, you quote, referred to Section 189. Section 1891 says, quote, the governor or the governor or deputy governor of a state shall cease to hold office if by a resolution passed by 2/3 majority of all members of the executive council, professional word, of the state, it is declared that the governor or deputy governor is incapable of discharging the function of his office.
Yeah.
In this scenario, they say, look, that hasn't happened. In this scenario, they say they have a duly put in place an acting governor who is now operating as a deputy. Nothing prevented him from assuming that position. And they also say, in this scenario, they haven't seen the governor violate anything because from the law, from the point of law, if anything's been violated, you might as well just correct it. So, aren't they two different things from what you've seen?
Yeah, you see, the thing about things like this is that on the surface, they look very, very okay. But I think it's the underlining, actions and activities that are cause for worry. And remember, I started by talking about the capture of a state by people who do not have any statutory link, to the state. So just like as we had in the, issue of the late president, and we also have in Taraba and some other places, you find out that the first family, of these people, these governors, have very, overriding pervasive influence over institutions of governance.
Even far above what the law provides.
Far above what the law provides, most especially.
And it goes unchallenged.
And it goes unchallenged. And
Why?
This is
How
the reality. This is the reality of the Nigerian situation. This is what is going on. You have the wives of these people playing roles that were not given to them by the Constitution. Browbeating, the opposition in collaboration or in conspiracy with key elements of the people who are also empowered by the state to act in a certain manner, but will not, because some other people that are not constitutionally empowered to do that are bringing undue pressure upon them. And that's why I talked about the seizure of the state, by private individuals. And that is what we are seeing. Again, do not forget that institutions in Nigeria are not working as they should. And that's why we talk about de-emphasizing the strongman mentality.
They're not working as they
ought to. Let me just correct that. And that's why you need to de-emphasize the strongman syndrome in Nigeria and then build up institutions. When you build up institutions, it becomes very difficult for individuals, outside of government, even though they have some linkage with government, to subvert the processes of the state or of these institutions.